So I have been using the Lumix S5iix camera for about 2-3 months now, and I just want to share some of my thoughts with this camera because this camera has been phenomenal. Let's get it. What is going on? My name is Randy, and if you're new here, I shoot filmmaking content, camera reviews, gear reviews, film tips and tricks, and all that fun stuff. So if you're into that kind of content, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. All right, let's get it. So this camera so far has been my main workhorse. This has been my daily driver for the last 2 months. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, then you know that my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K has been my daily driver. That's been my main camera, camera A for everything, talking head stuff, everything. But this camera right here so far has been phenomenal. I absolutely love everything about this camera. It has been, like, so far, the last 3 months has been fun. You know, it's been a pleasure. It's been really fun to use this camera. I want to talk about the image quality. So the image quality on this camera has been phenomenal. It has been absolutely insane. I've been shooting a lot of my YouTube videos with this camera, and I love the color that Vlog has. I love everything about Vlog. It's very enjoyable. Honestly, I've been having more fun with Vlog than I have with Blackmagic Raw. I'm not even gonna lie, but I will say Blackmagic is still my favorite in terms of color between the two cameras. But so far this camera has done everything I needed it to do. But yeah, let's talk about the battery life. Now the battery life isn't amazing. That's why if it's a long day, I would rig it and put a V-mount on the camera because that just makes it last longer. It's an all-day solution for me. But if I'm running on a gimbal, then I would have my V-mount, because I have a gimbal ring, so I would have my V-mount mounted to the ring, and then yeah, whatever. But so far, I have used this for all my shoots, everything. I use it for talking head stuff. Now, I will say this, I still love how the Blackmagic looks as far as skin tones and stuff, but this does great with skin tones. And the reason why I'm not using this as my A cam on a lot of my interviews, some stuff, yeah, I will use it as an A cam, but the kit lens, let's talk about the kit lens while we're on it. The kit lens isn't bad, but it's a variable aperture. It's like 3.5 or 4, and then you zoom in, it goes like 5.6. To me, it's not bad, but it's not great either. And I'm somebody who likes to shoot everything at f2 and f2.8. I got the kit lens because I don't know, I just didn't feel like investing into, new lenses right now. I could get the adapter. I just been holding off on getting the adapter because I've been lazy with trying to buy the adapter. It's only $200 to go ahead and buy the adapter so I can use all my Canon glass with this camera. But I mean, it looks good. The image quality isn't terrible. It looks great so far, but I know it will look 10 times better with prime lenses. But so far it has been pretty decent, can't lie. I did take some pictures. It's a 24 megapixel camera. I did take some pictures with this, but I'm not really a photographer to really talk on pictures. But the pictures that came out of this thing came out pretty good. I don't know what else to say about photos because I don't do photos, but I did take some pictures. Now let's talk about the autofocus. Now the autofocus, a lot of times it does miss focus. Now, don't get me wrong, this camera has amazing autofocus, but it does miss sometimes, and it misses more than I would like it to miss. Right now, Sony and Canon is still leading in autofocus, but this camera it's in the same playing field, but it's not up there right now. I can only imagine with a firmware update or whatever, probably the S5 III might surpass them in autofocus. Who knows? We'll see. But this camera, yeah, so autofocus has been an issue sometimes, and I find myself going back to manual focus because, again, I'm coming from the Blackmagic, so I'm used to doing all manual focus. Even some of my talking head stuff, I was working on one of my YouTube videos, and I looked back and I was completely out of focus, but when I was looking at the monitor, it was tracking me. Like, they had the square around me and eye tracking, all that stuff. but it was still focused on the background, but when it's supposed to be focused on me, and it took a while to focus on me. Now that's not a main issue, because again, I don't rely on autofocus for everything, and you shouldn't either. And if you absolutely have to get the shot, then just practice manual focus, because autofocus is a crutch anyway. And the thing I like most is I get to fly this camera on my gimbal, because I got the gimbal. I have the Join Crane 2S. Bought that a couple years ago, and I bought it for my Blackmagic, and it worked out fine. But just flying a Blackmagic on a gimbal just seems like a whole lot. Of course, you don't have the autofocus, and you don't have a lot of the features. It was just becoming too much, and then for some reason my gimbal stopped working with the Blackmagic. I don't know if it's because the cage I put in there, but it's a lot heavier because I have to add everything I need for the Blackmagic, versus this, I don't have to add a lot of stuff to that. You know, this camera, I can fly it just like this and be perfectly fine with it. But image stabilization, yes, image stabilization is a beast. I have been using it a lot on my shoots, but it does not replace your gimbal. The IBIS on this camera is not going to replace your gimbal from a professional point of view. Now, a lot of YouTubers, when I was looking into getting this camera the first time, and they was like, yeah, I can just leave my gimbal at home and I can replace my gimbal. Granted, yes, if you're doing certain shots, if you're doing stuff, but if you're trying to track, like I'm walking and tracking people, then that's when you will tell whether it's a gimbal or not. But if you're doing long tracking shots, then I would definitely recommend a gimbal. Or if you're doing like real estate stuff, still use your gimbal. Do not leave your gimbal at home, because a gimbal will always be better than most cameras as far as IBIS goes. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. But yeah, that's all I have for you. If this video was helpful, y'all know what to do. Like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, turn on notification bells, and yeah, let's get it.